Mommy, have you seen my doll? I want my doll, Mommy.
Have you seen my doll, Mommy?
Hello and welcome back to Ecto Portal. Another evening to the unknown, the spectacular, the extraordinary. I'm Anthony Anderson, your host, and I'm here with
Verna Wilson,
my co-host. And we're missing our third leg this evening, Linda. She's taking a night off, so we're going to fill in her place for her in just a few minutes with the news. But first, let's talk about what we did over the weekend. Verna, what did you do over this weekend?
Well, over the weekend, I actually was sick, so I took the time to just sit and read. I have an extensive library, so as you know, I took time to reread some favorite books. And then Sunday, I actually met up with some friends. As you know, Brian James was here from out of town.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Great having him in the studio.
Yep. So we went ahead and we met up with a bunch of friends, got caught up on old times. Him and Elizabeth Merton, my other friend, who's my other writer friend. We met, all of us, and some other people, and just talked and had a great time and just had a great social time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And how about you?
I had a busy weekend, I guess. I started on Friday night investigating, of course, San Remo Hotel and the Fior d'Italia restaurant in North Beach here in San Francisco with a local team, not a local team, I guess, because they're Empathic Paranormal from Nevada, Reno, Nevada. Mm-hmm. I've been knowing them for quite a while now, and it's always fun to hang out with them and now investigate with them. So me and Jackie we had dinner with them first, and then we showed them the Fior. They were really kind of exhausted because they all drove from Reno straight, and they were staying at the San Remo for the night too. But so we ate dinner, and we kind of had to wait till the restaurant closed and did our investigation.
And they said happy birthday to you. I noticed that.
They did.
That was great.
And then they all went to sleep, and then the next morning I had to meet them out on Alcatraz. I had to take an earlier staff boat in order to do a tour, and the tour actually lasted about 5.5 hours.
5.5 hours.
Yeah, and
wow.
we didn't even get to go to all the places that you normally get to go because they were closed because they were renovating them or vice versa. But I took them on a tour, gave them a lot more information than they'll probably ever wanted.
Of course.
But they seemed to like it. They had a lot of fun, and it was also Living History Day Civil War reenactors.
Oh, how fun.
So they got to hear a little bit of that. They got to take pictures. And the reenactors are out of a lot of Northern California areas and Sacramento, and they stay in character. Literally, they're wearing period attire. They're doing their whole, I am from the Civil War. Hi, welcome to Alcatraz. We're stationed out here. So it was a day to celebrate the Civil War fortress period of Alcatraz that a lot of people don't know about.
Oh, very cool.
So after an exhausting 5.5 hours of talking, I didn't want to talk anymore. So we all went to dinner at the Moss Beach Distillery.
Oh, I love that place.
And it's haunted, the Blue Lady.
It's very haunted, especially down in the restrooms downstairs.
Yep. And we had great food, great company. It was a great evening. They celebrated my birthday. It was very fun. I had a great time. And
sounds wonderful.
Sunday, I did very little except watch, Fear the Walking Dead.
We have to have those moments.
The Exorcist, good old, paranormal television there. Oh, and I watched the episode of Ghost Adventures at the Mackey Mansions that was on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that. I wouldn't mind exploring that mansion one of these days.
It's, of course, another Virginia City haunt. Many people who've gone up there know it as well. I've stayed the night 2 or 3 times. And of course, the experience I had was hearing band music woke me up in the middle of the night. Party music, piano music, people laughing, talking. It was a party downstairs, and it woke me up.
And there was no real party.
No.
You just heard it. It just was a phantom party.
Yeah, it woke me up, and after I woke up, it was gone. But it was loud enough to wake me up.
Were you able to get a recording of that?
No, because I was asleep.
Of course, you were asleep. You were
by that time, I was, It's hard to sleep at the Mackey Mansion because you either freeze to death or you roast alive.
So I take it the heating there isn't the greatest when you stay there.
No, there is no, it's pretty primitive. But it was a lot of fun, and I did a couple interviews with the docents there, Trinity and Isaac, which we'll be playing in just a little while here.
Oh, cool.
And they kind of elaborate on their experiences at the Mackey Mansion, the history a little bit, just to share with our listeners, because that's right down their alley.
Now, do they work there, or do they? Oh, that's
They're
great.
both
I love hearing
docents.
stories from the workers, people who work in those places.
Yep, and I have another one from Betty, who works at the Washoe Club, and we're going to play that on the Halloween show.
Oh, that'll be great.
And she talks about that, so that's kind of fun. And they just shot the episode of Ghost Adventures there. They talk about that a little bit, and I didn't want to air it really until that episode aired, so since it aired Saturday, ta-da! Ouch. Great idea.
There are some great mansions all over the California area that I would love to explore.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I when I was younger, when I was a kid, my stepfather used to love to go to these old mansions and estates. Some of them had wineries. Some of them were just museums. Mm-hmm. And even then, I noticed that there was some energy, and I knew they were haunted then. I mean, I knew it. Nobody sat there and said that. We didn't talk about it.
You just get that feeling when you walk in or look at them.
Yeah.
Yep. I did that with Jackie and some of the houses we saw over in Oakland. We're like, wow, look at this place, Jackie. She's like, I know, I would love to get in there. I go, I know, for some reason I do too. There's a lot of houses, but there's some that are just the characteristics of the house, the feeling of it, the age of it. I don't know. It's interesting.
You can feel it coming from the house. I mean, even if you don't go inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to go right into the paranormal news here to keep our the train on track. And let's begin.
Okay. Sounds great.
Paranormal news.
Yes, the paranormal news. Okay, do you want to go first?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
We're trying to keep this under about 12 minutes.
Yeah, I'll be very quick with it. Okay. This happened in the UK. It's all about a hospital patient's out-of-body experience. Actually, a lot of people talk about their out-of-body experiences, but the hospital actually decided to talk about this. This guy came in to get an operation on sleep apnea, and he always had machines hooked to him because he's heavy breathing. Yeah. So he was going to get that corrected. So he was very afraid, but he knew they were good doctors. So he didn't realize that he was already going under, and he thought he was talking to his brother. And he thought the doctors were coming and asking him questions, and he was answering them. Uh-huh. And he thought he was sitting up, and he just thought he was having a whole entire conversation. And then maybe about 10 minutes later, he realized that he was being woken up, and the doctors were telling him, slowly come out of consciousness, slowly come to, don't rush yourself. Mm-hmm. And then he said, wait a minute, didn't my brother just visit me? Didn't you just ask me a question? They said, no, nobody was here. We just finished operating on you. So he realized that what he was experiencing was an out-of-body experience.
How bizarre.
Yeah, and he said that he saw himself, and I think he mentioned, I think you have to go to the article, but I think it might have been caught on camera in the hospital, but not sure. But I know he talked about it, and the doctors had him talk about his whole experience in the hospital. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and the other one also takes place in the UK. This takes place in Norwich, England, which my good friend Jill lives there. Hi, Jill, if you're listening to this, and it's in Oxburgh Hall. And this is about a woman who went missing there over 500 years ago. She was a Spanish woman, and there was a story about her. She was missing, and nobody ever knew what happened to her. And it's always been like a mystery. And apparently, a tourist was coming in and taking pictures, and he caught an image of a woman standing in the picture, and he didn't retouch the picture, but she's in a black cape. She has dark hair, and she's plainly standing there on the balcony near them. So they think that it could be her because this woman looks like she may have the features of a Spanish woman at the time: dark hair, olive skin, dark black cape. And that's the way they dressed back then. You know, they wore black. They wore like black capes.
Just sort of watching close by.
Just sort of standing close by and just hanging around the balcony. So they're pretty. They think it's her, and they think she may be the same woman who was missing. So they have the pictures for everybody to show. You can see it in the article, and they swear that the pictures are real. But I'll let everybody make that judgment.
Cool.
Yeah.
Check those pictures out on the Facebook page for Ecto Portal.
Yeah, they're pretty clear.
All right, I've got, apparently exorcisms have quadrupled, sorry, the proper term, in the Catholic Church because of the Catholic priest's claim. And this is out of the Archdiocese of San Jose.
So they've increased?
They've said they've quadrupled in the world.
Wow.
Because of, are you ready for this? Drug and porn addictions and Harry Potter.
Oh, just blame it on Harry Potter.
It says, and this is their description of a possession. It could include the ability to speak a new language or ability to predict events. Often carried out by a priest, the centuries-old rituals tend to be conducted in Latin and involve several prayers and incantations along with the use of holy water. They also said, pornography and drug addiction, failure of the mental health system, that I agree, and the rise of pagan activities such as using Ouija boards and for the increase. And what's interesting is this guy's like a 22 years in the business as a priest. He says most of the cases are from outside the U.S., including Turkey, India, and Africa. And I think it's interesting because there are a lot of Christian missionaries in India, Africa. So, you got to wonder, is the Catholic Church trying to drum up some business? You know what I mean?
I've seen people who are churchgoers and who do strictly church activities get really open, and I've heard of possessions by people like that. I mean, so
yeah, and they claim that half of them are non-Catholics.
Well,
and only 1 in 5,000 is from someone who is Catholic. And 1 in 5,000 actually has a full demonic possession. The rest are attachments.
Oh, attachments, okay.
Yeah,
so they're lesser possessions. Yeah.
He says, and this is a good quote, a lot of people have contacted me and said something like, we were playing with the Ouija board, and all of a sudden our friends started speaking in a crazy language that we didn't understand. And of course, popular children's book author J.K. Rowling has also been hailed as the cause for many that needed to be exorcised.
Oh, give me a break.
And this is my favorite quote from the priest. It's normal for humans to have a morbid fascination with the idea of battle with evil and to paint a caricature, the exorcist coming like a wizard to help. Popular culture is full of the preternatural. Young people are watching things about vampires and Harry Potter, and however much claim to have moved away from mainstream religion, there remains the need to believe in something invisible. I find it interesting that they claim that people are moving away from mainstream religion and are looking for something to believe in that's invisible. So are they claiming their religion was belief in something invisible? It's like a double meaning there, sort of. But I thought that was a little bit heavy-handed, but I think whatever it takes to bring in more followers, maybe?
Well, I'm just wondering where they're getting their sources and who's telling them this. I mean, how are they researching their sources? Where are they getting it from? Because it just seems so general to blame it on literature with good and evil has been done for centuries, and people don't get possessed by it. Yeah,
I agree. I think we have a lot of health facilities that are closing, and a lot of people are on the streets. There's drug addicts.
Sure.
A lot of that stuff got the same symptoms you could say for an exorcist, that someone's possessed.
Yeah.
They're speaking weird, different, not responding, mood swings. I mean, there's all kinds of real physical,
There's mental illness
issues,
and
yeah.
and that happens, but that's that needs to be studied more, and we can't just blame one particular source.
No, so I just found that amusing, that the Ouija boards, apparently the Parker Brothers game causes you to be possessed.
I've heard that for a long time, actually.
I went home and I'm not possessed.
I have 2 spirit boards at home. They're not a Ouija boards, but
wouldn't Target put a little label on it that says, warning, if you play this game with 3 other players, you could be possessed?
You would think they would. Instead it says, for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, so there you go. The other one is an update on the clown hysteria that we've been experiencing. We mentioned this before.
Oh, yes. Somebody asked me if we were going to be doing that today.
Yes, there's apparently the newest outbreak is in America at Penn State University. 1 or 2 students have dressed up as clowns and are scaring people at night on campus. So I guess the student body took it into their own hands, and they all rallied together, hundreds of students, to hunt down these clowns on campus. And there was some little Twitter messages from the clowns saying, give a clown a break, and
Well, those clowns must have done something to really piss them off if they really taken their time to hunt them down.
Well, I think people don't want to be scared by a clown jumping out of the bushes.
Well,
That's
no.
what it comes down to. And I guess in England, the same thing happened with British school children, is now they're being terrorized by pranksters dressed up as clowns and jumping out of the bushes. So the police are taking that into a little more consideration.
What is this
Considers it's
clown
kids.
trend with scaring people?
I don't know. I'm sure Halloween's fueling that, and so is every time there's an article like this that talks about it.
Of course.
Another child says, "Hey guys, let's dress
That's
up
a
like
great
a clown."
idea. Let's
Yeah.
let's dress up and scare people.
So after North and South Carolina, now Penn State, and England, of course. So there you go. Maybe after Halloween's over, it'll die out.
The fake clowns will die
The
out.
fake clowns will go back where clowns belong.
Right.
The last one is a mystery of a rotting dead mermaid washed up on a British beach.
I saw that picture.
If you go to our Facebook page, I posted that article. There's some video actually. It appears to be rotting with the tail and head, and it looks relatively intact. I think it's probably fake.
Yeah,
it looks kind of small and stocky.
It doesn't look real to me either.
No. So take a look at it. Some people claim, no, it's absolutely positively real. I think it's absolutely positively fake.
Unless more of them wash up on shore, then maybe.
Well, there you go, like a colony.
You never know.
Could happen.
It could.
So yeah, if you want to check out that little mermaid corpse, go check out our Facebook Ecto Portal page and you'll see that. Also, this week's topic is the journey of dying, and Verna wrote a blog post.
Yes.
So if you want to check out ectoportal.blogspot.com, you can read her article that has in connection with tonight's show. And we're going to start talking about that after 9 o'clock hour. We're going to talk about the journey of dying and the journey we all are going to take. And we've seen some take.
Hopefully years from now.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of years from now.
A lot of years from now. I want to live.
And we all have to think about it and not be so scared of it, because we're going to go on this journey. We're all going to pack and go on this journey, whether we want to go or not. So
right.
We're going to all get evicted from this world eventually.
Eventually,
So you got to have to realize it's going to happen, folks. So just keep that in mind when we talk about tonight's show. And hopefully we'll get some callers after the 9 o'clock hour.
I'd love to get some callers. Please call in with your stories, your experiences. Be great to hear it.
Did you take care of anybody in hospice? Maybe you had experiences.
Oh, I can talk about that.
See, there's a lot of experiences when people are dying. They see things, family members, people are like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, I have friends who work in hospice.
They become very, very alert, even when they have cancer.
Yes.
They become very alert, like nothing ever happened.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things we can talk about coming up.
A lot to think about. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to actually go to our first music break a little early, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to introduce my interview with Trinity and Isaac from the Mackey Mansion in Virginia City. So let's go ahead and go right into our first break. How about that? We'll be right back on Ecto Portal.
The people whose lives we started saving back in the 70s, 80s and 90s are now coming to die in the 21st century of diseases that we no longer have the answers to in quite the way we did then. So what's happening now is there's been a big shift in the way that people die, and most of what they're dying of now isn't as amenable to what we can do as what it used to be like when I was doing this in the 80s and 90s.
I see dead people.
Hello and welcome back. Now we're going to go in just a couple seconds here, my interview with Trinity and Isaac from the Mackey Mansion in Virginia City, Nevada. I actually recorded this over the summer. This was, I think it was, I can't remember if it was August or September or somewhere, but it was a couple months ago. And I knew that the episode for the show was going to air in October. And I didn't really want to air this interview until the episode on Ghost Adventures. They shot an episode of Ghost Adventures there. They aired it this last Saturday evening. It was an investigation of that and another Mr. Mackey's the bank building that's also in Virginia City, both locations. And this interview I did just kind of goes into more detail with the two of them about their experiences working at the Mackey Mansion as docents. So we're going to go right into that right now and sit back, and I think you'll enjoy it. Okay.
Okay.
And what is your name?
Trinity Nevaeh.
Okay, Trinity. Do you live in Virginia City?
No, I live about 15 minutes away in Dayton.
Dayton, okay. But you work in Virginia City
At the Mackey Mansion. I'm a volunteer tour guide.
the famous Mackey Mansion. How long have you been a tour guide here?
Almost 3 months.
3 months. And you've learned a lot?
Beyond a lot, and I'm still learning, so it's pretty neat.
Oh, the door's opening by itself.
Yeah, and it sticks usually, so that was interesting.
Someone just came in.
Yeah, that never happens. It never blows open because it's always
Did you
sticking.
see that? I guess you didn't.
They started construction on the mansion in 1859 and it was completed in 1860. This room was an office for the Gould and Curry Mining Company. That's who built the mansion, was Mr. Gould and Mr. Curry. And it started out as this room was a mining office. The mine sat across the street up a few yards, and that mine produced more than $60 million back in the 1800s. The superintendent of the mine this was his office, and he got to live in the mansion. Our first superintendent was none other than George Hearst, William Randolph Hearst's father, the man that built Hearst Castle. This is where they got their family fortune. Somebody staked George $400 to come over here, and he left a few years later a multimillionaire. Then John Mackey came to town in 1859. He started out as a pick and shovel guy, and he meets 3 other Irishmen in 1871, James Fair, James Flood, and William O'Brien. Now James Fair built the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco, and James Flood built the Flood Mansion and the Flood Building.
Wow.
They were partners, and they called themselves the Bonanza Firm. And in 1871, people believed a lot of the town was played out, but John and his partners, they didn't believe that. So they start buying up these mines that people think are played out. And in 1873, they hit the biggest silver strike world famous called the Big Bonanza. That strike was so big and so pure, they pulled more than $100 million out of that mine in 3 years. John Mackey would have been the Bill Gates of the 1800s, and him and his partners were known as the Silver Kings from that point on. And he moved into the mansion in 1875 after the Great Fire. 2/3 of our town burned down, including his home. This side of town was spared, and that's when he moved in here.
So this was basically his office?
This was his office, and he lived in the mansion.
Now, you said his wife lived here too?
She lived here for a short time. She aspired to be an elitist, and she tried to go to actually New York, and they shunned her because she was new money, not old. So the poor little thing had to settle for a mansion in Paris. I tease her all the time.
Poor thing.
Yeah. So
she didn't like it here, though?
She did not like it here. We had nearly 40,000 people on this mountain, and that was more than San Francisco and LA put together. It was loud. The mining was 24 hours a day. The drinking and gambling and prostitution, that is not something was her cup of tea. So she got out as, she was back and forth, and we do have letters that she wrote when she was here and letters that she received when she was here.
Oh, wow.
So they did travel back and forth, but she spent most of her time.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. She spent most of her time in Paris.
There we go.
Yeah.
And you've had experiences here yourself?
Yes.
Which ones have you had here?
So I sit at that desk over there, and it faces over here. I can see the reflection of the windows that
Oh,
were
yeah.
right here. So I was looking out this door, but peripherally in that glass, I saw 3 times a man go by on the patio, and it's closed to the public. The chain is up. And the store was closed because it was still chilly when I started working here. So I jump up because I thought I had a tourist and we don't want tourists out there. I jump up, I ran around the whole porch, and I came back and I went, that was weird. And then again, 2 more times it happened. Finally I just went, because it's always peripherally.
Did you just see it or did you actually hear anything?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, so there was no footsteps.
There was no
or
footsteps, nothing. And so I always see it peripherally, and so I finally just went, Dawn, don't be quick to jump to conclusions, don't be one of those. So I said out loud, it's probably just the trees.
Right.
That very same day, I'll take you and show you where I saw him. If you stand here, Tony, and then face me, and I was doing a tour for just one guy. You can see the stairs while you're looking at me, though,
Absolutely.
peripherally.
Down and up.
Yeah, so we're talking, and this man comes, I got goosebumps. This man comes down the stairs, and I turned, I went, what was that? He goes, I saw it too. I said, what did you see? He goes, a tall, thin man in a gray suit.
So you were standing where I was?
Yeah, no, I was standing here, he was standing
guy was
there.
here, okay.
And he saw him too, and he described what I've been seeing on the porch, and he came down the stairs. I think what he was saying is, don't discount me as the trees. I am here, and I am watching. And I believe it's John Mackey.
Was that again just visual, not audio?
It was visual. There were no noises, and
Okay.
these stairs you have to make noise on.
Yeah, you can't help
There
it.
was no sound whatsoever.
Again, peripheral vision. you saw him
Peripheral
again.
vision, and we both turned, and he was gone.
Wow.
I've also walked to go up the stairs.
That's
and
giving me goosebumps.
See him go down the stairs here too.
So he obviously lives.
Yeah, I
here.
think it's him. I
He's
really
still
believe
here.
it's John, and I think he's very just watching after things. And then I'll be standing here talking on part of my tour, and people kind of look. I go, "Did you see something on the stairs?" And they go, "Yeah, I thought I did." And I said, "I feel it," because I get the, when I'm standing here and I'm talking about them. But I think they like it. I feel like when I talk about them, it kind of makes
Brings
them
it to
happy.
life a little bit more.
And then when I walk in the mansion every morning, I thank them for letting me be here, that I'm grateful. This is their home, and it's an honor for me to be here. And then I thank them before I go home, because this is their house and I'm a guest. So I always make sure. And then when I have
That's nice.
my Ovilus on and I'm cleaning, they call me the maid, M-A-I-D it says. And I was washing the windows one day, and it said glass. And let's see, what else do we get? We have Lily and Emma. They've come through on my ghost box. And they giggling while I was straightening up upstairs.
Really?
Now, the gates are on all but one room.
Right.
But I straighten up the beds because the covers get messed up, and it's the little girls. I was up there about 2 weeks ago straightening up, and I was alone in the mansion, and I was in John Mackey's room straightening the bed, and I heard this giggle behind me, and I turned around, and I was like, oh, I get it. You're just going to mess it up as soon as I leave. So I came downstairs for about 20 minutes. Nobody had been upstairs on the tour. I went back up, and it was messed up.
They did.
So I laughed back. I laughed at him back. I said, "You little stinker." Yeah, so they're really funny, and they're very, very
That's
good.
funny. Well, that's harmless and fun.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah. But I feel good energy when I'm here.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
You still
I
feel
feel
the
very
family
positive.
energy here.
I don't feel Mrs. Mackey. I joke about her because I say she would have pushed me down the stairs by now, because the tourists go, "Oh, wow." And I said, "Yeah, she's got a little RBF going on." And resting bitch face. And
does, this
but
picture.
she does. But I love her to death. I joke, and I tell her every day. I say, "Miss Mackey, if you are here, I'm just kidding." And but I don't feel her here. I don't think she would come back to a place
Didn't say she
hated.
didn't like it here, right?
She hated
so
it
maybe
here.
that's you're like.
She loved Paris.
Yes, and she's buried in New York, but she loved Paris. That's where she spent most of her time. But yeah, and the little girl sings. You can hear her singing. We hear walking when there's nobody upstairs, talking. The vault gets a ton of activity. Have you been in the vault?
Yeah, we've been in the vault. I know one time when we stayed here, we were asleep upstairs in the Mackey's bedrooms. In the middle of the night, I get woken up. I hear party music coming from downstairs. And I'm like, who's having a party downstairs?
Yeah.
It's like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It was loud enough to wake me up. It takes a lot to wake me up when I'm that far in the night.
Wow. See, that's, yeah, I think there's a lot of good energy here. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's the darker stuff too, but I don't provoke and I don't ask for things like that. So
That's just asking for trouble.
I agree. That's my beliefs. You
Yep.
know, I try to
Yep.
keep it on a positive level for them too, and invite them to join me for the day instead of asking them to perform. So
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They don't do it on command, folks.
no, but it's funny. People, they get little pictures and little, shadows, and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, but it's neat. It's really neat.
Have any of the guests or tour visitors had any experiences physically?
I've actually was pushed in the vault, but not like in a violent
Just a
way.
nudge?
The old door is in there, and it's
Right.
very small. And so part of my tour, when I give the tour, I'll stand in the doorway just to show them how small it is. Well, it was the end of the day. I was really tired. I'd been talky all day. So I just kind of skipped that part. Well, I got shoved right into the door, and I was like pushed in, and I grabbed a hold of the door, and the tourists were like, "Did you just get pushed?" I said, "Yeah, they're telling me I need to show you how small the door is." Yeah, but it wasn't in a bad way. It was just like, you forgot. They don't like it when I forget something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Keep you on track.
It's pretty neat. It is neat. I love it.
Very cool. And you do them year round?
Yeah, well, I hope so. I just started here about almost 3 months
Okay.
ago.
And you had a TV show recently?
Huh? Oh,
Yeah,
we did the Ghost Adventures. We're here.
Very nice.
Yes,
Did
yes.
they do an overnight and a whole?
They did. They did an overnight here, and they did the Super Chicken, which is across the street from the Washoe.
Oh, okay.
It's the old bookstore, the old Mark Twain bookstore. But that's where they did stuff there and stuff here, and we're going to be on the Travel Channel in September or October.
There you go.
Yeah.
Folks.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't really care if they cut me out or not. I don't aspire to be on TV. I was just wanting
If Zach got you to sing, you'll probably be
Well,
on
it wasn't.
the show.
Oh God, I hope he didn't film that. That's embarrassing. But,
Probably did.
But I don't aspire to be on TV. I just wanted the mansion to get some exposure.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I did take something dark home when I started here, which is what I talked about at the Ghost Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you about it, Jackie. In my hallway, my cat started growling, and my thermostat and something was hunched over, shadowy.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was crouched over and creepy. And Zach asked me he asked me if I'd ever taken anything dark home. And I don't know how he knew that, but he did. And he goes, I felt that about you. And it tripped me out because I'd forgotten about it actually, because I cleansed and I haven't seen it since. And he asked me, he goes, what did you cleanse with? I said the Palo Santo wood. And he goes, well, you sound like you know what you're doing. And he goes, did it take care of it? I said, so far, yes. And so, but that's the only dark thing that I've experienced like that. And it was ugly.
It is scary.
It was scary.
Very scary.
It scared me.
Why don't you tell Tony what Zach made you do when you told him you were nervous?
So I was nervous, and Zach said, are you okay? And I said, I'm just nervous. And he goes, well, we're going to sing a song. And I said, I don't sing, but I'll do it for you. And so we sang Mary Had a Little Lamb together. And when we were done, he asked me if I felt better, and I did. I was just,
So it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
See, he knows exactly.
He's a
how
very
to
good
come.
interviewer. He's very good. Yeah, he was very nice.
Got a lot of experience now.
Yeah, he was very nice.
Was it their aftershock show? Is that what they were shooting?
I
here?
know, because this
No?
was our
Something
very
different?
first visit. They've never
Interesting.
done the Mackey.
Interesting.
So yeah, hopefully they'll come back and do the aftershock.
I know the Dead Files did one here too.
The Dead Files did, and the funny thing is I never saw that episode until after I worked here, and I knew nothing of this man, this Shadow Man, knew nothing. I found him on my own, and when I watched the Dead Files, I was like, okay. So I was a little excited and nervous, and it was just a little, burst of excitement, because when you get validated, I felt a little validated that way.
Okay, it wasn't just me.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
just me. So, yeah. But she said she felt, Mrs. Mackey here, but I don't. Yeah, and the spirits, they've gotten a little amorous with me at times, and you just get this weird feeling, and you're going, oh, it's close by, because you get a little frisky feeling, and it's like, And it's never affected. I've never had anything like that before, except for in this office, and Betty did experience it too, which is really funny.
Wow. I know I smelled men's aftershave right out here once, like the second time I came here.
Right,
Here.
yeah.
Just a little bit.
And then we get peaches too in this room. Peaches, the smell of peaches in this room. I have people come in and they say, why does it smell like peaches in here? And then I stop and I'm like, you're right, it does. And you can smell the peaches, and it's just a very, very, very light fragrance. And it's not me. I'm not wearing a peach perfume or anything, but yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now, isn't one of the biggest legends here is the little girl who's seen upstairs? Could you tell us that story?
Well, Johnny Depp stayed here in 1999, and he stayed in John Mackey's room for 4 nights. He was awoken by one of our girl spirits jumping on the bed. He woke up and she just disappeared. So we call her Emma.
Emma. I wonder if she was a believer before that.
I don't know. Probably don't know if I should say this. The owner told me he liked to spend a lot of time drinking at the Washoe Club when he was offset. And so the owner was on the grounds downstairs when Johnny came stumbling out one morning, and his hair was all just disheveled and he was hungover, and he had a half a sandwich stuck to the side of his face.
There's a picture for Facebook.
I'm like, if I tell that story enough, maybe Johnny will come back up here and kick my ass.
About that picture.
I think you get a kick out of it.
Oh, no, he probably has had worse said about him, so, well, he has now.
Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
yeah.
All right. Thank you, Trinity, for taking time to give
You're
us a
very
little information and
very
your
welcome.
experiences here at the Mackey Mansion in Virginia City.
Thank you.
And if you guys are in Virginia City, Nevada, which we hope you'll check it out, whole town is haunted. Be sure to stop by the Mackey Mansion. Okay, we're still back here in the Mackey Mansion with another docent here. And what is your name, sir?
My name is Isaac Barber.
Okay, Isaac, and how long have you been a docent here at the Mackey Mansion?
I've only been working here for a few months, but I have been coming to Virginia City since I was about 9 years old.
Okay.
So I spent pretty much half my life coming here. So,
Okay. So it's a regular stop, regular haunt?
oh yeah, I live here in town, and I come here up here every summer, so I figured I might as well just move here.
Oh,
So
there you go. It's unavoidable. So what experiences have you had yourself personally in the Mackey Mansion?
in the Mackey Mansion, I've had so many experiences from, hearing voices to the top of the staircase. I've seen the little girl, she followed me home. We have 2 little child spirits that haunt here. So I've seen her physically at my own house, not here in the mansion, but she did follow me. I've seen who we call the Shadow Man. We believe that's John Mackey's spirit. So I've had a lot of
Are they good
experiences.
spirits? Or are they...
I do not feel anything negative here. We did have Ghost Adventures. They just came through here a couple weeks ago and filmed an episode. And those guys have crazy attachments from the places that they go to. So it is possible they unintentionally left something here for us with the demonic attachments they have.
Behind.
Yeah. I've never been attacked in the mansion, nor has anybody else. We do have people living here on the property.
Okay.
So no one's experienced anything negative. So
Cool. And now, how about some of the actual guests and visitors that you've taken on tours? Have they had any physical experiences?
they have had experiences. There was one day, me and the head tour guide Don, we were both doing tours here. I was sitting in the parlor room, and I was sitting in a chair, and had an obulus out, and I heard footsteps going up the staircase behind me, and I go into the office room and I tell Don about it, and then one of the tourists spoke up and said, well, I saw a woman looking out the window upstairs. And that was the same
Out or
time.
in?
Outside the window. She was outside the
looking
mansion, and the woman was looking outside through
wow.
the window. So,
That's not
yeah.
creepy at all.
No, it's not.
And these stairs, I mean, you can't walk softly on these stairs. They creak. And
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
know
yeah.
if someone was on those stairs.
Yeah, and the house, it has been continuously lived in since it was first built, and I had a tour come through a while ago, and a lady was saying that her family owned it during the 50s and 60s.
Oh, wow.
And she said that her mom was opening up for business one day, and she saw the Shadow Man standing in the doorway of the parlor and office. She thought it was a tourist and walked over, and she saw the Shadow Man walk through the parlor and up the staircase to the 3rd floor. And she looked up the railing and said, we're not open for business yet. And then the Shadow Man looked down at her and disappeared. So our Shadow Man goes back as far as the 1950s and 60s.
Now, were they still giving tours in the 40s and 50s in here?
Yes, they were.
Okay, so it's basically almost been a continuous operating museum.
Oh yeah. And the current owner, when he took over, he brought in a bunch of other new items in here.
Oh, okay.
So
And who knows what came with those?
yeah, who knows what attached themselves.
Surprise!
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Any photographs anyone's ever taken?
We don't get a lot of stuff visually here, but they are very, very talkative. Very
Really?
talkative.
So you'll get a lot of
yeah.
EVPs and
Oh yeah,
voices.
EVP, Spirit Box, Ovilus.
Wow.
They go crazy with that stuff. When we get stuff visually, it's more of you seeing it with your own eyes rather than a camera seeing it. When Ghost Adventures came through here, from what Zach Bagans told me, the lead investigator, he said that they got some great stuff. You know, he couldn't tell me what they got, but he said that it was really awesome what they were able to get. So
That's cool. Have you done your own overnight here?
oh yeah, I've done plenty of overnights, probably more than I should have.
Really?
So.
I've done about 3, once during the summer and during the winter, and I either froze my butt off or I roasted alive upstairs.
See, Virginia City during the summer, I feel like the paranormal activity here really calms down because, you know, and like I'm sure you know of too, and a lot of people who are investigating weather phenomena can really magnify their energy.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the fall, the winter, and even the spring, we get snowstorms here, so that really just magnifies the whole aura of paranormal activity.
The
So
electrical energy.
oh yeah, so for anyone, I suggest if you want to do an investigation, come here during the fall, winter, or spring, because during summertime really calms down. You know, we get tourists coming through here, but not as much. You know, not as a lot as like the old Washoe Club or
Right.
something like that. Like day after 4th of July is when paranormal activity really kicks in because all those people are here, all that energy for them, and yeah, when we have big events here, it's usually the day after, a couple days after, that a lot of activity happens.
Now, the one thing that happened to me when I was on, like the second time I was here, middle of the night, it's like 3 a.m., I'm in Mr. Mackey's room. I'm woken up in the middle of the night with the sounds of a party downstairs. There was piano, there was people laughing and talking.
Yep.
It was so loud, I'm like, why are people having a party downstairs? What's going on? Of course, there's nothing going on down here in the middle of the night, but it was enough to wake me up, and I guess other people have experienced that same thing.
Oh yeah, I usually, you know, when I'm opening by myself, I'll be here for, you know, usually about an hour before people open up, and I'll hear music going upstairs. I'll hear, you know, people running back and forth upstairs, and it's really active. Especially, I think it's the most active during the day, I would say, because John Mackey, you know, I believe his spirit still resides here, and I feel him a lot up on the 3rd floor watching the tourists and, you know, making sure they aren't taking anything or anything like that. You
Keeping
know,
an eye on his place.
yeah. So I feel him very strongly during the day, and I think that's when the house really gets into, you know, full activity mode.
Cool. I know Trinity says she sees him in the corner where I going down the staircase.
Oh yeah, I've been standing in
around.
here doing work, and out of the corner of my eye, I'll see him go up the staircase, and yeah.
That's good. Well, at least he's checking it out.
Yeah.
Making sure everything's spit spot.
Yeah. And hopefully he's okay with me being
I think
here.
he must be, or maybe he'd say something, huh?
Yeah, or he'd get his point across to tell me to get out.
Like
so.
Trinity said, they call her the maid.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess she knows her place.
Yeah.
You're the help. All right. Well, thanks for giving us a little interview.
Yeah, no problem.
Some information. Very cool. Thanks. Okay, and we're back. That was the interview I did with both Trinity and Isaac. Came out pretty good, I thought. Some interesting information.
Yeah, they had some great stories.
Yeah, both of them did. And great experiences. I know they only got to share a little bit on the show, but that gives you kind of a little bit more elaborate in depth of what they actually do experience on a day-to-day basis. All right, we're going to go to a quick station identification break here and a little bit of music break. And then we're going to come back to talk about the journey of dying. And we'll go into that in conversation, and hopefully you folks will call in. I'm going to give you our number now, so about maybe 9:05 or so, if you want to give us a call at 628-444-3202. Again, our call-in number 628-444-3202. And if you want to give us a call when we get back about 9:05 or maybe 9:10, we'll love to hear your stories and your thoughts as well. But we're going to kick it off here in just a few minutes, and we will be right back, folks.
They're here.
Hello, and we are back.
We're back.
Anyway, back to our topic. If you really want to call, this is going to be your last chance. So give us a call here live in the studio at 628-444-3202. And until then, we're going to go right back to our conversation. And Verna wants to continue. Go for it.
I need to correct my story. I have to remember I was going through so much back then that I got my story a little confused. Okay, I was mentioning that my mother claimed that somebody from her church came to visit her. Now, the correction was that I talked to somebody at her church, and I was mentioning, I said, oh, so-and-so's husband came to visit my mother. And the lady was there, and she said, my husband didn't come visit your mother. He just recently passed away. So it wasn't a live person from that church. It was somebody who recently passed away, but my mother thought he was still alive. And she called me and said, oh, we had a nice visit, and she told me all about it. But apparently,
so he probably did visit, right?
He did visit, but he passed away. And
Oh.
it was, and his wife, when at the church, when I was talking with her church members, she was very disturbed that my mother told me that.
Cool.
Yeah.
See, so that just goes to show you that, it's maybe not just that she's thinking of somebody from the church, that maybe because he recently passed over, he's still new to the process, and say, let me say hi and talk to her. Make it a little easier for her.
Yeah, and she mentioned that visit 2 or 3 times to me. She kept telling me, and I wanted to say, but he passed away recently, but she wasn't in the state to listen about that. Mm-hmm. And she also mentioned that her sister, who died when she was a child of pneumonia, actually, came to visit a few times when my sister and I were visiting my mother at the hospice. She would say, look, she would say, it's my sister, and she would point to her, and she said, Maria's here. Oh my God, she's here, and she's saying hi to both of you. So she was definitely seeing friends and relatives coming to her when she was in the dying process.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it's people, a lot of relatives, people see relatives, hear relatives, they're talking to relatives.
Yes.
I realize I don't know if I'd want to visit them, to be honest with you, or have them come around me when I die. Like, you're the last person I want to see. Could you just wait outside?
Yeah, I guess it all depends on the relatives.
Yeah, hopefully it's someone who you connected with and liked, as opposed to someone who maybe wasn't so great.
Right. You don't. Yeah.
I don't want them holding the door for me because they'd probably close it again. I don't know.
Yeah, you would definitely want somebody you feel good around to come when you're getting ready for that journey. But there's also the dreams too that the dying have right before they go.
I don't know. I've never actually talked to anybody who's been in the process of dying that had dreams like that.
Well, my mother had dreams about my stepfather right before she went to the hospital, and this was when she was still coherent and I was taking care of her. And she told me, she said, one day she goes, baby, she goes, guess what? She said, I dreamed about John. John was my stepfather. And she said, and he has his back turned to me. She said, but I kept seeing him. She said, in all the years that he passed away, I have never dreamed about him before. And the first thought that came to me is, uh-oh, he's coming for her. Uh-oh. That was my first thought. Yeah.
Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe, I don't know what the relationship was like, but maybe that's part of what he had to do, is to help her.
Oh,
you know
definitely.
What I'm saying? That maybe that's part of what he has to do, not necessarily what she had. It could have been different for her, what she saw and heard of him, than what you're thinking. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, it was
Who
just
knows,
the first
right?
thought that came. Who knows? But
Exactly.
I mean, he had his back turned to her. She couldn't see his face, but she knew it was him.
Mm-hmm.
So she was a little freaked out about that, because she told me all those years she never dreamed about him, and they were very close. I mean, she was with him, this man, for years and years. Even after their marriage ended, they still were seeing each other. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's interesting.
It is interesting,
I know I
yeah.
had a friend or my mother was taking care of a friend's older mother before she passed, and she had dementia and stuff. And I know that 2 weeks before she died, I think it was a crow smacked into the front living room window of this woman's house.
Oh, that
and,
is-
and died instantly.
That's freaky.
And that's an old wives' tale that if a bird hits the window, someone's going to die soon. And just before she passed, she said she had visitations from relatives, and I know her daughter's like, "Oh, Mom, you didn't get a visitation from anybody. Nobody's here. You're imagining it. It's probably the medication, whatever. It's the dementia." But you got to wonder if just because your body's checking out doesn't necessarily mean your
right, that
energy
your mind's going. Yeah.
and your mind essence is not. Maybe
Right.
it's packing its things, saying, you know what, this house is done. I can't live here anymore.
Right.
I'm going. So maybe she's going off to visit those people now. At the same time your body's dying, you're like, okay, open the door. Here I come, because my shell's had it. It's old, it's diseased, and it's failing. It's dying.
Yes.
And that's one door closes, another door opens. I know that's a cliche, but
It fits, though.
yep. And of course, a lot of people will tell you, especially paranormal investigators, if one door opens and another one closes, or if another one closes and another door opens, you need to call a ghost investigator.
Well, it makes sense.
But, yeah.
It doesn't.
In this case, though, that makes sense, where you're shedding your physical, moving on to your wherever
Right.
your energy and your essence and your. I think you maintain your intelligence. I don't know how. Maybe in dreams, because in dreams you can be pretty philosophical, and you can apply. You apply thought to things you're experiencing. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get out of this room. Why can't I make this lock work? So you are thinking.
Yeah.
So maybe the same thing applies.
Right. And I do find that symbolism dreams are different than visitation dreams, or different than pre-death dreams, or dreams when you're really sick. Because I find that when I've been really, really sick, like with the flu, or dreams where I'm really extra sensitive, that's when I get the visitations, and they feel different. And also, the body and the auric field changes. Now, here's another story that I don't often tell, but I am going to tell it now. When my mother was getting very ill, and she was in her kitchen table, she was sitting there and she was talking to me, and all of a sudden, her face transformed, and I saw a shadow behind her, and I almost saw like the shadow of death around her. And I freaked.
What color was it? Do you know?
It turned paler. She actually turned paler, and she looked like a skeleton for a minute. And it sounds weird, but she did. And it was like a shadow came over her. And all of a sudden I sat back and I balked and I freaked. And she goes, "What happened?" And I didn't want to say it to her. I just said, "Oh, Mother, you just looked different for a moment." And then she said, "Well, you're shaking." And I said, "Well, you just look different. I'm sorry, Mother." And I didn't want to scare her, so I didn't say anything, but I never forgot it. And then I told Linda, and I said, "Linda, her face changed. I almost thought I saw the shadow of death over her."
What'd Linda say?
Linda, she just automatically believed me. She said, "You probably did. Mother's very sick, and she's not getting any better. No matter what treatments they're giving her, she's not getting any better." And partly because she didn't take a lot of the treatment she was supposed to be getting. That was,
Right.
But the physical part, I mean, that was the part of her that I saw, like her auric field or her physical features. But the physical part of death, when you're taking care of somebody, it can be very scary, and when you see somebody deteriorating before your eyes. Because I saw her her toes and her feet turn blue, and the tips of her fingers when she wasn't dead yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, the body's dying and letting go. It's interesting.
Yeah, Linda and I saw that, and we were both very disturbed by it because it was our mother. We loved her, and she was a very beautiful woman, and
Right.
to see that was very disturbing.
I know with a lot of articles I read, they talk about people say, "Oh, when they pass away, they're in pain, they're dying." One article I read talked about how death may not be as instantaneous as we think it is. That by the time the body stops moving and we think they're clinically dead, they've already gone. That what you're getting is some movement, some energy left in the body, very, very faint reactionary, but the transgression of the energy of the person has already vacated the building. Mm-hmm. Elvis has left the building.
Yeah.
So your body is still it is clinically alive. Then as soon as you're completely gone, then the body lets go, and that's it. It's gone. The door's shut. And I think a lot of people think, oh, they're hallucinating, they're dementia. No, I think they're starting that transition, and once they get done completely, then the body just stops. But people, it's interesting, this article is saying there's different levels and stages of death. And it could be a day before where they start. It could be 2 weeks before. They start a slow process and have these visitations, these dreams, these memories, really, really vivid experiences for them, enough to where they describe them.
Right.
And they're real to them because they are real to them.
They are real to them,
They're just we're just not experiencing that because we're not supposed to.
Right.
It's not us. It's not our journey into death.
Right. We're not there yet. So it looks different to us when to hear it from them. And sadly enough, a lot of people look at it as babbling, or they look at it as they're losing their minds, you can't, I feel you should not do that. You should pay attention to them, and that's when you have to really listen to them.
Write down who's visiting. If they had a conversation with someone, exactly. Ask questions. Say, what did you talk about? What was she wearing? What were you wearing? What was the weather like? Where were you at?
Yeah.
Because you never know later. You're thinking, wow, you know what? And someone in the family may say, you know what? That's exactly what happened so many years ago. And they had a great time, a great relationship.
Right.
And it just could be moments in your life that you're reliving that you were really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you never know. This may be somebody that you may dream about later. This may be somebody who would actually be a good guide or guardian angel for you later in your life. You never know who they're seeing. And there's another phenomenon about being in and out of your body that I want. There's a phone conversation I wanted to discuss that was...
We've got about 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Well, I think I discussed this in my blog. My mother called me one day from the hospice, and she said, "Baby, I'm coming home." And I go, "Are you?" She goes, "Yes, I'm on Van Ness, and I'll be at your door in a few minutes, so wait for me." I'm like, "Okay," and I hung up the phone. I knew she was in the hospital, and I was like, whoa.
Why would she be coming to my door in 2 minutes?
She was out of her body.
See, that's wild. Was it it was a live phone call, right?
It was a live phone call. She called me and told me this, and she hung up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And people get phone messages the same way for people who, on their answering machine, who died at the exact same time somewhere else. That happens
right.
a lot.
No, I've heard of that too.
Or a call from grandma to a grandkid who got home from school only to find out grandma died that night before.
Yep, I've heard of that.
That stuff happens a lot. Okay, that actually is the end of our show for tonight, The Journey of Dying. We didn't get any calls, but we did have some interesting conversation.
Hopefully next time.
Yep, hopefully next time. Tell them what's coming up next week.
We are going to have Selena Fox. She is a witch who runs a sanctuary in Wisconsin, and she also runs the first green pagan cemetery in the United States. And she'll be discussing her work with the sanctuary in Wisconsin, and she'll be discussing all of her work and services. I can't wait to have her.
That's excellent. So that's another great show. Of course, it's October, which is Halloween time.
Yes, so Halloween's to honor the witches, and she'll be there.
And we want to make sure we do celebrate witches.
Right.
So let's have a little bit. That's a little taste for next week. Okay, folks. So that's the end of tonight's show, The Journey of Dying. And until next time, we'll see you again in the Ecto Portal.
See you next week.
Mommy.
Royalty-free, copyright-free music by Kevin MacLeod and Ross Bugden. Be sure to visit us at www.ectoportal.com. Check out our archives on YouTube and head on over for new episodes to ectoportal.podbean.com.